Stop. Don't scroll. Your spirit has been screaming for a reason, and you are 100% right about that uneasy feeling in your chest. You've been in a long season of silence, exhausted, and standing at the point of giving up. But today, you did something that opened an exception in the heavens. A warning has been dispatched because the trap was about to close, but the word arrived before the enemy finished the net. Your soul has been on permanent alert, a sentry that never stands down. You lie in bed, but your body refuses to sleep because your mind is decoding glances that felt off. You wake up at 3 in the morning with a nameless tightness, waiting for a confirmation that never comes. This physical fatigue is the price your body pays for a spirit that senses a hidden, moving danger around your peace and your home. Lately, simple decisions have started to paralyze you. You are frozen by doubt, wondering if you are being too spiritual or not prudent enough. Every choice made in urgency carries the bitter aftertaste of a mistake. You've diagnosed the pattern, the same traps, the same people, yet you haven't been able to break it. You are tired of being right about things that only end up hurting you and your future. The most painful part is the silence at your own front door. Your spouse has learned not to ask how your day went because they feel the heavy atmosphere you carry. Your children have stopped calling you for small things, sensing you are physically there, but your spirit is miles away. You arrive home and accidentally discharge the world's weight onto the very people you are trying to protect at the dinner table. I will show you where you have been for months in a way that makes the silence make sense. You will recognize yourself in the specifics, the exact night, the exact conversation, the exact knot in your stomach. Within this video, I will deliver a Hebrew word, bina, that functions as a tool to peel the mask off hidden intentions. This isn't a theory. It is a practical decoding of what was recently sealed. At the end, I will declare 3 specific names over you. This is not a generic blessing. It is a commission of identity that restores your authority. I cannot promise your life changes by tomorrow morning, but I promise if you stay, you will leave with something specific in your hand. If you walk away now, you leave without the seal and the protection that your next big decision desperately requires. Think of yourself as a seed in the dead of winter. The ground above is hard, frozen, and dark. To anyone looking from the outside, there is no evidence of life or sign that anything is happening. But you were placed in that darkness with intention by hands that knew exactly what you were carrying. The cold isn't there to kill the harvest. It is there to protect your roots while transformation happens. The truth is, you haven't been fighting poorly. You've simply been fighting without the instrument that was promised to you. You've been trying to build a wall with your bare hands while the enemy uses sophisticated tools. There is a spiritual plumb line that you don't even know exists yet. You have been a sentinel without a watchtower, trying to navigate a storm using only your own exhausted willpower and intuition. Before we move forward, take a stand. Type "I am here" in the comments as a decree of your positioning. Regarding this exhaustion of watching your back while trying to build your future, there is something Solomon left recorded. He left a 2-minute key designed to fit into your ordinary day to sharpen your discernment. It is a specific legacy for the chosen, and I will reveal it very soon. If you must leave before the end, that instrument is already waiting for you in the first pinned comment below. But I ask you to stay. Without the context we are about to enter, the key will not have the same power in your hands. I'm about to show you why your discernment has been so sharp yet draining, and how to finally stop walking on eggshells around those you love. We are about to step into a level of clarity that changes how you look at every person in your circle. But first, we must understand the mystery of your endurance. What happens to a seed that no one planted, that no one waters, and yet it still insists on breaking through the ice against all odds? The answer to that question reveals exactly why you were chosen for this specific hour. You arrived here because what you did today opened an exception in heaven. The word was given. The decree was issued. But between the invisible net being unmasked and the architectural plumb line being firmly set in your life, there exists an interval that the enemy knows better than you do. It is in this precise gap that most of the chosen ones lose what was granted, not because the decree was revoked, but because they arrived home on a Monday morning and found they lacked the instrument to sustain the clarity and the defense they received here. Solomon was the wisest man who ever lived. This is not just a title from a history book, it is a biblical record signed by God himself. When he had the chance to ask for anything at all, he did not ask for wealth or long life or the heads of his enemies. He asked for wisdom, and God was so moved by the request that he gave him the wisdom and everything else alongside it. He judged the dispute of the two mothers when no one else in the kingdom knew how to judge. He wrote 3,000 proverbs. He governed Israel at the historical peak that the nation has never seen before or since. The Queen of Sheba traveled for months by camel just to test this wisdom, and when she returned she said that not even half had been told. And Jesus himself, Jesus in person, cited Solomon by name. He did not take this wisdom to the grave. He left it recorded with a surgical precision that has crossed 3,000 years without losing its edge. He left recorded how to stop falling for the same friendly traps that have stolen your years, peeling the mask off every smile that hides a hook. He left recorded how to walk into your home and ensure no cold draft or heaviness from the shadows follows you across the threshold, so that your house finally breathes and doesn't need you to be perfect, but needs you to be present at the dinner table as the firm pillar they rely on. And he left recorded how to carry yourself with the posture of a king who sees the wolf at the gate. So you stop deciding in the heat of exhaustion, stop asking for advice from those who are drowning you, and stop believing in those who sell cheap miracles. Before I name the instrument, move your thumb to the first pinned comment, right below. Don't click yet. Just let your gaze reach it and recognize that it's there. Do that now. I have gathered this into the Code of Solomon's Wisdom. It is a main written guide in PDF that you read in one 40-minute sitting, plus the audio of the Ritual of the Righteous Sleep in MP3 to listen to before bed, and the written guide of the 7 morning decrees in PDF to open in the first hour of your day. It is in the first pinned comment, right below. It is the union of the wisdom of Proverbs with the principles of peaceful restoration, which take a person out of survival mode and bring them into a state of clarity and decision. Solomon wrote it. I organized it for the ordinary day you are living now, in this week that begins tomorrow. Along with the main guide, there are 2 instruments. The first is the Ritual of the Righteous Sleep. 10 minutes before sleeping, guided by what David wrote in Psalm 4:8. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. This is not a relaxation technique. It is the act of handing over to the guard of the one who never sleeps what you carried all day long, so your soul stops standing watch over the shadows that have already been placed in the hands of someone who doesn't need you awake to defend what is yours. The second is the awakening of clarity, the 7 morning decrees. 5 minutes upon waking, before your phone, before your coffee, 7 decrees pronounced in your own voice, taken from the wisdom of Proverbs. That position the day before the day positions you. It is the posture of an heir before the calendar. The bills and the routine speak for you. And the value, the value. Less than a Starbucks coffee in the afternoon. Less than a simple Sunday lunch with your family. Less than a tank of gas to drive to church on Sunday. I set it at this price on purpose. Not because it is worth little. It is worth what Solomon left recorded for 3,000 years. I set it there so that the only obstacle between you and the instrument would be your decision to reach out your hand. Not price, not schedule, not travel. Just your hand toward the link. And there is a guarantee of 7 days. If you open it, use it for a week, and it doesn't serve you, you send an email and receive your money back in full. And here is the part no one else does. You keep both bonus instruments. The Ritual of the Righteous Sleep stays with you. The awakening of clarity, the 7 morning decrees, Molby, stays with you, even after the refund. This is not a generous concession. It is the recognition that the risk of testing cannot be yours. The risk is ours. The only risk left for you is the risk of not testing. Several people here on this channel, in recent weeks, have already received this instrument. Fathers, grandparents, people who carry their household on their backs. I've read messages from those who slept through the night for the first time in months, from a husband who sat down at the dinner table and his wife noticed the difference without needing to ask. From a grandmother who managed to pray with her grandchild without the weight of the day crossing the prayer. It's not magic. It is the right instrument in the right hand. And while they sleep tonight with their soul handed over, your calendar keeps running. The next night you lay your head on the pillow with your soul still on alert is tonight. Maybe 3 hours from now. The next morning you wake up thinking about the battles is tomorrow. Every night without the ritual of the righteous sleep is a night your body will pay for. Every morning without the awakening of clarity, the 7 morning decrees, is a morning the world rewrites first. The cost of delaying is not 0. But do not leave now. The ceiling is not yet finished. What I need to show you next is greater than any instrument Solomon left recorded. It is the Hebrew name of what is happening to you at this very moment, the name of the exception that was opened in heaven because of what you did today. And when you hear this name, you will understand why everything up to this point was preparation for a single word: stay. You need to understand that what you are experiencing is not a breakdown of your mind, but a calibration of your spirit. You have felt like you are losing your grip on reality, questioning whether your suspicions are just trauma or true insight. But I tell you, you are being refined in a secret place. Heaven is putting you through a series of tests to ensure that when the mask finally falls, you have the eyes to see the wolf, even when it wears the most familiar smile. This wait is your validation. The first signal is spiritual, and you felt it in your secret closet. Your prayers have suddenly changed their tone. They no longer feel like a warm conversation. They feel like a tactical report hitting a brass ceiling. You cry out for comfort, but you receive a command to stand guard. You feel as though your petitions are blocked, but in reality, God is moving you from the role of a child asking for bread to a sentinel receiving orders for the night watch. The silence is your promotion. The second signal is practical and it lives in your daily decisions. You carry an unnameable weight every time you have to choose a path. You have diagnosed the pattern, the same friendly traps, the same energy-draining cycles, yet you find yourself frozen, unable to break the loop. You see the hook hidden behind the favor, and it repeats in different contexts with different people, as if a single spirit is following you through various faces. You are tired of being right about things that only end up hurting you. The third signal is the most painful, for it has crossed the threshold of your home. There is a heavy silence at your front door. Your children have stopped running to you with their small victories because they sense you are physically there, but your spirit is miles away, fighting a shadow they cannot see. Your spouse has learned to stop asking how your day went, fearing the weight you'll discharge at the dinner table. You aren't being rejected. Your family is simply reacting to the atmospheric theft you are carrying on your shoulders. The fourth signal is the leaking of your strength and resources. You notice that your energy drains after only 10 minutes with a specific person, as if they are breathing the very air your spirit needs to survive. Resources seem to slip through invisible holes in your pocket, and your focus is constantly diverted by emergencies that always seem to benefit someone else's agenda. This is not bad luck. It is a breach in your day common, a sign that the wall around your peace has been compromised by a smile you trusted. The fifth signal is the answer you've been receiving to your requests for confirmation. You have been waiting for a yes or a clear go, but the only answer you hear in the quiet is, watch. Alas, this silence is not a denial. It is your instruction. God is waiting for you to stop looking for a miracle and start looking for the truth that is already standing in front of you. He is training your eyes to pierce the surface before he grants you the authority to move into your next season. If you recognize yourself in at least 3 of these 5 signals, you must understand that this is not a burden you can just pray away. It is a commission you must accept. You are being called to a level of discernment that most will never understand. As an act of positioning and faith, I want you to go to the comments right now and type, "I carry what no one else carries." Do it as a decree signaling to the heavens that you have stopped resisting the weight and have started recognizing the calling. Understand that you are currently inside a spiritual pressure chamber. To the world, it looks like you are being esmagado, crushed under the weight of your own hypervigilance. But in the kingdom, this is how a diamond is formed. The heat and the pressure are not there to destroy your peace, but to harden your discernment into a surgical blade. What you feel as a burden is actually the refining process that will allow you to see through every mask and guard every gate in your life. Before I give you the Hebrew name of what you carry, I must remind you of why you need it. The instrument that Solomon left recorded, the one I mentioned at the start, is the only thing that can help you sustain this weight in your ordinary day. You cannot walk as a sentinel using only your own exhausted willpower. You need the tool that was designed for this specific battle. First, you must receive the name, and then you must take up the instrument to defend it. There is a single word in Hebrew that defines exactly what is happening in your spirit right now. It is the name of the exception that was opened over your head the moment you decided not to look away. When I say this word, the knot in your stomach will finally begin to loosen because your struggle will finally have a definition. You are about to discover that you weren't going crazy. You were just becoming a bearer of Bina. Stay, for the revelation is here. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Place your hand on your chest. Feel the rhythm of your heart, the very center where your spirit has been signaling for weeks. You are not here to hear a speech. You are here to receive a key that has been hidden from your sight until this exact moment. The tension you felt, that sharp edge in your discernment that feels like a physical weight on your ribs, is about to receive its true name. Heaven does not leave its sentinels without a vocabulary for their battle. The season of nameless confusion is over. There is a word, a single frequency from the ancient language that defines the state of your soul right now. That word is Bina. It is pronounced Bina. It is the name of the exception that was opened over your head the moment you decided to stop ignoring the shadows. You have been calling it anxiety. You have been calling it stress or even a sudden lack of trust. But the heavens call it Bina. It is the tactical code for the season of the unmasked, the specific period where your eyes were forced open to see what others are allowed to miss. Many people look at this word and translate it simply as understanding or common sense. They think it's just a higher form of intellect, a shallow ability to process information. But that is only the skin, the popular definition that fails to explain the ache in your spirit. If Bina were just intelligence, you wouldn't feel this heavy, prophetic weight in your gut before a meeting. If it were just logic, you wouldn't be able to look at a smiling face and see the invisible net they are trying to weave around your peace. Bina is far deeper than a mental exercise. It is a spiritual, surgical strike. In its true architectural sense, Bina is the power to distinguish, to separate, and to see the structure hidden between two things. It is the architectural plumb line that God drops into the middle of a confusing situation to show you what is leaning toward the truth and what is leaning toward a lie. It is the ability to look at a friendly gesture and see the wolf at the gate before the gate is even touched. While others see the mask, Bina sees the motive. It is the discernment that peels back the surface until the bones of the intention are laid bare before your eyes, revealing the shadow that moves even when the world tells you to look away. The wisdom of the ages recorded this necessity with surgical precision. In Proverbs 2:3, the word says, "Yea, if thou criest after knowledge, and liftest up thy voice for understanding." That word for understanding is Bina. Notice that it doesn't say you will just stumble upon it. It says you must lift up your voice for it. You have been lifting your voice in the middle of the night, asking, "Why do I see this? Why do I feel this knot in my stomach?" Your cry was not ignored. Your cry for understanding was the very thing that activated the Bina you are now carrying, signaling that you are ready to move from a target to a sentinel. You must understand this clearly. This period of silence and hypervigilance in your life has a name before it has an end. You are not wandering in a dark vacuum. You are positioned in a season of Bina. God has slowed everything down, stripping away the noise and the distractions so that your spiritual ears can calibrate to the frequency of the truth. The reason you can't just move on or ignore your gut is because Bina is a mandatory school for the chosen. You are being taught to recognize the cold draft in a room even when every door is closed, preparing you to guard the threshold of your own home. Remember the seed in the dead of winter. The hard ground and the freezing cold are not your enemies. They are the conditions required for the root to find its true strength. Bina is the code that opens the sealed file of your true identity. You thought you were being crushed by the weight of what you know, but you are actually being refined into a sentinel who can no longer be deceived by a mask with a smile. The seed is breaking, not because it is dying, but because the life inside has finally recognized the atmosphere it was meant to govern and protect. Now that you know the name of what you carry, I need to show you that someone carried this weight long before you did. They stood exactly where you are standing, faced with a smile that hid a sword and a person trying to steal their peace, and the decision they made changed the history of a kingdom. What happened to this person when they finally applied their Bina is the blueprint for what is about to happen in your home and your decisions this very week. It will change everything about how you see your current battles. I promise to come back to this, and the time is now. Stay. You have been standing in a season of forced waiting, feeling as though you are being measured by a standard no one else has to meet. You felt the sting of being called too sensitive or untrusting by the very people whose nets you were busy untangling in secret. This period of injustice and silence wasn't a mistake. It was the protective enclosure of the seed. You've been watching the movements of those around you, seeing the mask slip for a fraction of a second, and then spending the next 3 days wondering if you actually saw it. You are exactly where the chosen must be before the mask falls forever. Think of Solomon, a young man suddenly carrying the weight of a kingdom that felt too heavy for his inexperienced hands. He didn't start with the gold or the fame. He started in the silence of Gibeon, asking for the one thing the world overlooks. He knew that without a spiritual plumb line, the throne would become a target. He spent his nights in the same quiet hypervigilance you feel now, realizing that his biggest enemies wouldn't come with chariots or spears, but with smiles and complicated stories designed to test the boundaries of his newborn authority and the clarity of his spirit. When the two women stood before him, both claiming the same child, the entire court saw an impossible riddle. But Solomon operated with an instrument that moved beyond the surface evidence. He didn't just pray for a miracle, he used the decree of the sword. By commanding the child be divided, he wasn't being cruel. He was applying Bina to force the hidden motive to the surface. He understood that the fake would agree to the destruction out of spite, while the true mother would choose loss over death. He used a practical tool to reveal the atmospheric theft in the room. That moment of applied wisdom was the point where his invisible preparation in the secret place became his visible calling before the nation. The sword didn't draw blood, it drew the truth. His ability to distinguish between the mask of grief and the heart of a mother validated his throne forever in the eyes of the people. Your period of watching, of feeling the cold draft when others say the door is shut, is your Gibeon. What you are learning in the shadows today is the very thing that will establish your authority in your home and your business tomorrow morning. Before I declare your names, I want you to look at the like button as an act of spiritual intercession. There are thousands of others currently being gaslit by the enemy, told they are crazy for seeing the invisible net moving toward their peace. Every like ensures this word finds another exhausted sentinel who needs to know they aren't losing their mind. You aren't doing this for me. You are doing it for the brother or sister who is currently sitting at their dinner table, feeling that nameless weight on their chest, wondering if they are the only ones who can see the wolf. I call you now by your first name, the watchman of the threshold. You are the one appointed to stand at the gate of your own peace and the safety of your family. Heaven has granted you the eyes to see the shadow move when others are looking away. You are no longer authorized to be a passive observer of your own life. This name is your legal right to say no to a smile that carries a hidden hook and stop to a presence that drains the very air from your sanctuary. As the watchman of the threshold, you no longer need permission to be prudent. You are the filter through which every influence must pass before it reaches those you love. This identity authorizes you to trust the knot in your stomach over the polished words in their mouth. From this moment on, the guilt of being untrusting is broken. You aren't being judgmental. You are being functional. You are the guardian of the atmosphere, and the threshold of your home is now under the protection of a sentinel who has finally accepted their post. I call you by your second name, the bearer of Bina. You are the one whose eyes have been calibrated to see the structure hidden beneath the polite surface. While others are distracted by the color of the mask, you are decoding the grain of the wood. This is the surgical blade of your spirit. You carry the frequency of the plumb line, the divine ability to separate the holy from the profane, the true friend from the strategic ally, and the genuine prayer from the manipulative whisper that seeks to steal your future. As a bearer of Binah, your hypervigilance is being transformed into high-definition discernment. You will no longer waste years trying to fix a trap you were meant to avoid. This name authorizes you to see the hidden motive behind the favor and the agenda behind the unsolicited advice. The paralyzing doubt is being replaced by a cold, clear certainty. You will walk into meetings and social circles with a spirit that reads the room before a single word is spoken, making you the most protected person in every environment you enter. I call you by your third name, the Architect of Peace. You are not just someone who avoids conflict. You are the one who builds the walls that make conflict impossible for the enemy to sustain. You are the designer of the boundaries that protect your legacy. This identity moves you from the role of a victim of circumstances to the master of your own environment. You are building a stronghold of clarity where the spirit of confusion has no place to rest its head or plant its seeds of doubt. As the Architect of Peace, you are now commissioned to restructure the dynamics of your circle. This name authorizes you to build walls that the wolf cannot scale and to dig foundations that the enemy cannot undermine with his whispers. You are the one who sets the tone at the dinner table and the frequency in the bedroom. Your home is no longer a battlefield, it is a fortress. Every decision you make from this day forward will be a stone laid in the wall of a peace that is no longer fragile. Solomon operated on this exact frequency. He wasn't just guessing, he was a receiver tuned to the transmission of heaven's truth. By declaring these three names over you, I am tuning your spirit to that same ancient signal, aligning your receptor with the frequency of Binah. You are now sintonizado with the same discernment that protected the throne of Israel. But there is a specific secret the enemy desperately hides about these three names. Because once you understand the hidden power behind them, the main weapon he has used against you for the last 10 years will break in his hand instantly. You have been identified. The moment you accepted your names as the watchman of the threshold and the bearer of Binah, a target was painted on your back in the second heaven. The adversary does not fear a blind believer, but he trembles at a sentinel who carries an architectural plumb line. Now that the mask is off, the strategy of the shadows will shift from hidden nets to open erosion. You are no longer navigating by feeling, you are operating by a strategic map. This is the intelligence report for your week. Pay attention, for the battle for your next decision begins now. The first tactic is the erosion of comparison, targeting your repetitive sense of failure and the traps that have stolen your years. The enemy whispers that your clock is broken, that while others are celebrating their harvest, you are still frozen in a perpetual winter. He wants you to believe that the repetitive traps you've faced are proof that God has moved on to someone more successful. He uses the progress of others as a weapon to make you abandon your post, suggesting that your discernment is actually just a delay. He seeks to make you trade your unique commission for someone else's pace. Your first weapon is the decree of singularity. You must speak what God said, not what the winter feels like or what your flesh senses. Stand in your living room and declare, "My trajectory is unique, and I refuse to compare my hidden rootwork with another man's visible spring." This decree breaks the power of the late spirit. You are not behind. You are being prepared for a weight of glory that an unrefined spirit could never carry. Your timing is locked in the hand of the one who established the seasons. The comparison ends where your unique assignment begins today. The second tactic is the erosion of perception, specifically targeting your home and the atmosphere you share with your family. The adversary interprets God's tactical silence as rejection or abandonment. He fills your house with static noise, small fires at the dinner table, unexplained tensions with your spouse, and sudden emergencies, all designed to drown out the still, small voice of your Binah. He wants you to believe that because there is chaos in the atmosphere, God has left the room. He tries to make you discharge your exhaustion on your family, turning your own sanctuary into a battlefield of shadows. Your second weapon is the memory of the altar. When the noise in your house grows loud and the atmospheric theft begins, you must reach back to the specific moment where God was unequivocally real in your life. That encounter is not just a memory. It is legal evidence in the court of heaven that cannot be overturned by a bad Tuesday morning. Use this altar to silence the static. Remind the atmosphere of the last time the mouth of the wolf was shut by the hand of the Lord. The truth of your history with God outweighs the temporary perception of chaos. The third tactic is the erosion of persistence, aiming to make you give up exactly 24 hours before the breakthrough. The adversary concentrates the weight of the last 7 years into this final mile of your decision-making process. He makes the knot in your stomach feel like a sign to quit, rather than a sign that you are pressing against the very gates of your promise. He waits for you to be at your most exhausted, right when your next choice carries the most weight, to whisper that your watch is over and the walls are not worth defending anymore. Your third weapon is last-second resistance. When everything in your flesh and the world around you demands that you fall, you simply choose to remain standing. You do not have to run, perform, or shout. You only have to refuse to leave the threshold of your peace. Stand at your door and decree, "I will not move." This is the weapon of the sentinel who knows that the enemy has no power to remove a commissioned watchman. If you do not quit, the adversary has no legal right to your territory. Your refusal to move is his final defeat. Now I want you to subscribe to this channel, not as a social gesture or a casual click, but as a strategic positioning of your receptor for the days ahead. By joining this circle of sentinels, you are signaling to the heavens that you are committed to the frequency of clarity and the defense of your legacy. This is where the watchmen gather to calibrate their bina and sharpen their spiritual plumb lines. Do not leave your spirit disconnected from the transmission that God is sending to His chosen in this hour. Secure your place at the watchtower right now. Now that you know exactly what tactics are being deployed against your peace and which weapons are already in your hand, there is a final act that must be completed. A strategic map is useless if the architect does not sign the order of battle. There is a prayer that needs to be made, not by me for you, but by you, as the watchman of the threshold, to seal the atmosphere of your home once and for all. I am going to lead you into the court of heaven. This is the moment where the silence finally ends. Stay. Close your eyes now. Place both hands over your chest. Breathe deeply before we continue. You are standing in the presence of the one who unmasks every shadow and who called you to be a sentinel at a time when most have chosen to sleep. Feel the weight of your hands on your ribs, the very place where the knot of discernment has lived for weeks. You are here to admit that your strength is not enough to carry the bina you've been given. You are acknowledging the exhaustion that has settled in your bones from watching a door you didn't even know you had to guard. Tell him now that you are tired of the sleeplessness, tired of the paralyzing doubt that freezes your next step, and tired of the heavy silence that meets you at your own dinner table. Declare in your spirit that you are not moving. Tell the heavens and the shadows that you are staying at your post, not because you are strong, but because you have been named. Receive the frequency of your new identity right now. Accept the mantle of the watchman of the threshold, the one who filters the atmosphere of the home. Accept the mantle of the bearer of bina, the one who sees the bone beneath the polite skin. Accept the mantle of the architect of peace, the one who builds the walls the enemy cannot scale. You are no longer a target. You are a commissioned officer of the light, and you are receiving the seal that makes your discernment a weapon rather than a burden. I saw you in those nights when you stared at the ceiling and the tightness in your chest arrived before the first thought of the day could even form. I saw you reaching for your phone in the dark, looking for a message or a sign, while your body screamed for a rest that your soul refused to grant. I saw the physical toll of the hypervigilance, the way your shoulders tightened every time that specific name appeared on your screen. I was there in the 3 a.m. watch when you felt like you were losing your mind because you saw a shadow move where everyone else saw only light. I saw you, and I was the one holding your heart steady while your mind tried to rationalize the warning I sent to your spirit. I saw you in the moments when you made decisions in a blur of desperation, because the clarity you begged for didn't seem to arrive in time for the deadline. I saw you waking up the next morning with the cold weight of a mistake sitting in your gut, the error you had already diagnosed in your spirit, yet lacked the instrument to avoid in your flesh. I saw the papers you signed, and the yes you gave while your stomach turned, that trying to be kind to a wolf that was only interested in your harvest. I saw the regret that followed, the way you replayed the conversation 1,000 times, wishing you had the plumb line in your hand before the foundation was poured. I saw you opening your front door and bringing the heavy weight of the world across the threshold, discharging the atmospheric theft of the day onto the very people I gave you to protect. I saw your family learn to be silent when you sat at the table, watching them walk on eggshells, because they could sense your spirit was still miles away, fighting a net they could not see. I saw you looking at your spouse and your children through a veil of exhaustion, wanting to be present but feeling like a sentinel who couldn't leave the wall even for a meal. I saw the pain of being there, but not with them, and I saw the guilt that ate at you when the door finally closed. I saw you, and I gave you those eyes to see, not to live in fear. I gave you the Bina not as a curse of anxiety, but as the commission of a guardian. You are the exception I opened in the heavens for your generation. I am not removing the weight, but I am giving you the stature to carry it and the instrument to master it. From this moment on, you will not decipher by exhaustion, but by my spirit. The mask is off, the threshold is marked, and the shadow that followed you home is now barred from your sanctuary. You are the architect of the peace that I am establishing in your house today. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. You are committed, you are commissioned, you are sent. Don't say amen yet. Stay here in the silence. Think of the seed that was buried in the frozen ground. You thought you were being buried to die, but you were being planted to govern. The ground that was hard and dark has finally broken. The winter that tried to freeze your discernment has only served to strengthen your roots. The life that was hidden inside you has recognized the atmosphere, and the breakthrough is no longer a promise. It is your current reality. The walls are built, the watchtower is occupied, and the architect has signed the order. The season of nameless confusion is over. Now you may say amen. Don't open your eyes yet. Keep your hands on your chest. The seal is fresh, and now the adversary will try his first attack. What was sealed will be tested Monday morning. When the routine returns, the cycle will try to misread tonight as a passing emotion. Whoever is commissioned without an instrument walks into the field without what Solomon left recorded. The exception opened in heaven. Now it must survive the ordinary day. The code of Solomon's wisdom is in the first pinned comment below. It is the companion to defend your seal. A decree without an instrument rots by Monday morning, and the adversary counts on that Monday to steal your peace. It is the wall your house needs. Take it now. It is less than a Starbucks coffee, less than a Saturday afternoon snack. With a 7 days guarantee and both bonuses, the awakening of clarity and the ritual of the righteous sleep, that stay with you regardless. The risk is ours. The hand is yours. Click now while the decree is alive in your chest. Not tomorrow, not later. Those who leave it for later leave it for never, and the adversary counts on the later. That voice whispering, decide tomorrow or now is not the time. That voice is not yours. That voice belongs to the one who lost today in heaven and is trying to recover ground on your Monday morning. He has counted on the later in every other message you received and postponed. He counts on it now. Click before the adversary speaks louder than the decree just sealed over your head. And now, the last word. Someone in your circle is carrying the same invisible net you carried. They will go home tonight and discharge that weight. They need an intercessor to send this warning. That is you. This isn't just a share. It is a spiritual intercession. Now close your eyes, breathe 3 times, remain in silence until the video ends. What was done here must land. Don't scroll. Stay.